there's always a way, and there's always a way to do the right thing faster, better, easier.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, creators, and disruptors who are fueling innovation in markets across the country. I'm Tyler Kelly, and I'm here with my co-host, Leanne Buchanan.
Hello, everybody.
And we are really excited because today we have with us Gazelle Hashemian. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Gazelle, we just met, which is always fun because I love to learn about amazing powerhouse women like yourself. We're going to talk a little bit more about what you do in a moment. But before, I just want to get to know who you are. So the question I love to kick off the conversation with is, what is your superpower and how did you first discover it?
I would say my superpower is not taking no for an answer. And I discovered it in my early 20s when I realized that there's always a way, and there's always a way to do the right thing faster, better, easier. And I run with it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but at the end of the day, my conscience is clear that I do what I need to do. I build bridges and I build organizations and I continue on with the journey that I have.
Love that. Speaking of journeys, Gazelle, I want to take our listeners in this conversation way, way back. Tell me your origin story, tell me, where this resilience and kind of take no for the answer approach first started.
I was born in Iran. And at the age of 9, I went through experiencing a revolution firsthand. That made me grow up very fast, made me a lot more resilient than an average nine-year-old or a teenager would. As I lived through early years of my teenage years in Iran under the tyranny of the mullahs, I was lucky enough to immigrate to the States at the age of 15, and I loved it. I loved just getting a chance at life again, being free, and being able to achieve my potential and reach my goals.
Talking about really maximizing your potential in this whole new environment in the States, walk us through a little bit more of your background. We were talking beforehand, you are an investor, you're a seasoned tech executive, you are a CEO, a leader. There are so many different aspects to the depth of your experience. So would you take a minute or so and just walk us through those major milestones?
You make me sound a lot better and a lot more complicated than I am. You really do, Leanne. At the end of the day, I look at myself as wearing different hats and having different roles in life. And whatever role I'm in, I do my best at, whether as a mother, a husband, a wife, a sister, a friend, a leader, and an investor. Mm-hmm. That journey has just been so fulfilling and rewarding. I'm very blessed to have had the opportunity to experience everything I have, and I still have a lot more to do and a lot more to learn.
Awesome. So just walk us back through some of the different roles you've had, different hats you've worn. Thinking about We Capital, BluJuniper. You're also with a tech company before. So talk us through that experience.
Early on, I think it started back when I was selecting a career. I decided that whatever I wanted to do, I would have wanted to be the best at. My career, or I should say my advisor at George Mason University, and my selection of my major lasted no more than 12 seconds because I asked him, I said, I had just realized that I would no longer be a candidate for pre-med because if you speak to an Iranian American, you know that one of the 3 majors that they are to select is either law, medical school, dental school, etc. I medical school was no longer an option for me because I didn't want to wait that long, and it was just a long journey. And I said, well, what do you think I should select my new major to be? He said, STEM is a very good field to be in. And I said, okay, what type of engineering? He looked at my transcript, he said, you're good at physics and math. I would say any type of engineering. And I said, what's the most difficult one? He said, electrical. I said, sign me up. And that just, I think, sums up what I have done. I have worn different hats, and I've continued to switch hats and switch roles on a daily basis. I started off as a software developer, moved into management in the corporate world, achieved the C-level with my last position, working for a larger firm, or actually mid-sized firm, as the head of IT. I became a business owner after that, ran, and sold a company in the government contracting arena, serving the federal government. That was back in 2012. And then I decided to just expand my horizons and experience different things. I joined We Capital as an investor. It's been an amazing, amazing journey, and I truly enjoy being amongst these wonderful investors. We invest in female-led startup companies as part of the Rethink Impact, Social Impact investment. I co-founded a non-for-profit where we help displaced families all over the world, traveled and have been part of service trips to refugee camps in Middle East, another life-changing experience. I launched and shut down a company, which I think any serial entrepreneur should go through it at least once or twice. I launched my own line of essential oils. I truly, truly enjoyed the experience. Great journey again, learned a lot. During COVID, the fate of it was determined by COVID. My favorite line is that product superiority does not mean that you'll do well. Mm-hmm. And I shut it down last year. I formed BluJuniper, which is a professional services firm. And as a small woman-owned business, I am going to pursue opportunities within the federal and local government.
Excellent.
Wonderful. There's a lot there to unpack. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about investing, though, because I think that you're in a unique position to be able to invest in companies that don't necessarily get, a broader look at, right? So what is it that you're looking for in companies, and talk to me about your experiences there.
When I look at companies that would make great potential, not only for investors, but also possibilities for growth and return on investment, I look at, the business plan. Everyone looks at the business plan, the validity of the invention, products, services. More important than that is the attitude of the founders, how much skin in the game they have, their passion. Because I do believe at the end of the day that plays a key role in the future of the company. It's been yet another rewarding experience just going through that. And I'm very fortunate enough to be able to, in a very small way, impact and hopefully tilting the trend that has been less favorable to minority-owned businesses, especially female-led businesses.
Mm-hmm. When we look at the stats around investors, women-led companies get a smidget, a fraction of the available capital.
That's right.
In Miami, just this year alone, and I know this is as evergreen as we try to make it, but billions of dollars have been deployed, and I think there was 1.6 billion or something like that over 106 deals. 4 of them were women-led. That's it. So you're really, really, I think, making a difference by actually focusing and prioritizing those that are not getting the look.
Right.
How does it feel as a woman who maybe started in STEM, where there weren't a lot of you, to have seen that field, the industry evolve, both tech, electrical engineering, and getting to a C-suite role in a company as a woman?
It has been an amazing journey not an easy one. And when they say, and I've said this before in a few other interviews, when they say you have to work twice as hard, they really mean it. You really do have to work twice as hard. That has never been a deterrent for me. It has never stopped me from trying. And I hope that it won't stop other females from trying as well. The road is hard, but unless we try, we can't overcome it. And we will not be able to achieve a tipping point where it no longer would matter what the gender of the founder is, and or any other aspect rather than the character, their experience, and the mission that they're serving.
So you talked about the failed startup.
Yes.
And that every entrepreneur
Thank
should
you
have
for
that
mentioning,
experience.
putting it that way. I would like to look at it as lesson.
Okay, yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know, like, number one, how do you know when it's time to call it quits? And then number two, what did you take from that experience?
I gave myself a timeline.
Okay.
I gave myself a timeline, and I said, by January 2020, if I have not achieved certain milestones, that would be it. And we all know what happened January, February 2020. So the rest of it was, how do I shut it down smoothly? I was very lucky, and that is not a deterrent nor a recommendation for others not to try to get investors. I had offers of investors, which I declined. And I told my individual investors that had showed an interest that I would open it up to angel investors if an institution goes in. I was in a very unique position to be able to afford to launch it and shut it down. That made it a lot smoother. Having said that, had I had investors along with me, that would have been quite all right as well, because 8 out of 10 startups shut down. And I don't think I would not want that to be ever a deterrent for my children from prohibiting them from achieving their goals and or fear of failure or lessons learned, to be a deterrent for them to try taking risks, taking calculated risks.
Something you said that I had not really picked up in doing my homework was the nonprofit that you mentioned, where you are facilitating these experiences around being exposed to different life circumstances, different people. You may not know this about me, but I similarly have a nonprofit where I take people abroad, youth for leadership training to different countries.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm always fascinated by folks that understand the value of learning by doing and experiencing a connection to a different culture experience. Talk to us a little bit about what that was like. What inspired you to start that nonprofit? And perhaps what has been kind of the most fulfilling aspect of that work?
I think so our nonprofit is called Project Turquoise. A few of my friends and I started it after seeing the picture of that little boy, the body of the little boy being washed up in shores of Turkey. We started that effort just because we wanted to do something, just because being idle is never an option or a choice for me. I would say Project Turquoise and attending those service trips and the growth of it and the success of impact that we have made globally has been one of the top 5 experiences of my life right after motherhood to have completed me as a human. If I highly recommend, if there is an opportunity for everyone to visit a refugee camp and be inspired. And I look at it as a source of inspiration, not despair, and as a source of instilling responsibility and a sense of obligation to do better, each and every one of us, rather than sense of guilt. And I specifically said that to the youth that accompanied us. We took 14 American high schooler and college students to Camp Zatari in 2018. My daughter, one of them. And they worked, experienced, played side by side 28 Syrian refugee kids out of which we are now sponsoring a handful of them for college education and raise fund through EdSeed in support of their college educations within that region. I told them that, you may feel guilty about the lifestyle that you have in comparison. Let that not derail your focus. Walk away with a sense of responsibility. And I'm so, so proud of these young adults and the impact that they have made and the effort that they're putting in continuing to grow with that.
It's interesting, something that you just shared about kind of stepping back and observing the experience that others are having, and those interactions is pure magic. But it also really elevates the importance of humanizing issues. It's a lot different to ignore something happening halfway across the world if you've never experienced it. You haven't seen any pictures, that you haven't, known people that went to visit. But it's very difficult not to feel connected or to have action if you've actually experienced something. So I asked that to kind of translate to your experience as a leader. Like, you've had to lead teams, lead organizations, run your own business. How do you humanize or make the work that you're doing contextual to the people that you're supporting?
I hope I don't sound like a cliche. I'm sure you've heard this many, many times, but it really does resonate that empathy, I think, is one of the top qualities of a leader. Having empathy, it doesn't mean that you don't have high expectations, but having enough empathy to be able to identify and being able to relate to someone else's position, aspirations, strengths and weaknesses, and work with that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. You know what time it is?
Oh, oof, already? Jeez, that went fast.
It's time for the lightning round.
Oh, wow.
What have you witnessed, and this kind of goes well with that last question, what have you witnessed that has strengthened your faith in humanity?
My children. They have just been, they truly are a source of inspiration to me, and their outlook of life, their resilience, the way my son sold 45 T-shirts to all his classmates because he told them that they didn't have a choice and they had to buy a T-shirt for Project Turquoise. And just the small ways that they have really inspired me.
Gazelle, if you could run your own country, what would it be like?
Oh, goodness. It would be great. It would just be awesome. It would be one that would focus a lot on education, on individual responsibility as well as individual freedom.
What does success look like to you?
Ability to have choices and being able to have options and choices on a daily basis.
I love that. What do you want to let go of?
Oh, that's a tough one. How much time do we have?
I mean, go. Tell us.
I'd like to be able to let go of some heartaches and hard experiences. I think just like, any other person, we all have our personal successes and failures and relationships that have worked out or not worked out. And I would love to be able to just let go. And it's a heavy burden. And the way I look at it, if Oprah is having issues with it, then I'm in good company.
I love that.
Well, with that, the final question would be, Gazelle, how can people get in touch with you and with your company, social media, website, all of that stuff?
My company is BluJuniper.com. They can reach me via email, gazelle@BluJuniper.com, and BluJuniper is missing an E.
Awesome. Well, Gazelle, this was so much fun. I definitely enjoyed our conversation, also learning more about you. So I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams